8 segments which you can clearly delineate what's happening anywhere in the world of power and utilities. Infrastructure investment, the changing energy mix and distributed energy, customers are being empowered, then digitization, market and policy reforms, new competitors, which then leads to talent and diversity.
There's a raging debate about nuclear at the moment.
It's not the right thing for South Africa to invest in that amount of nuclear at this point in time. It would bankrupt South Africa. As a country, you have to think through what is going to happen to my economy, what's going to happen to my energy needs, how is my economy changing, and make sure you make the decisions early in order to plan the investment, the skill, the people that would have not only planned this, designed this, constructed, but has to operate it for the next 60 years. This is our most pressing challenge. That this continent is essentially still dark. What would be the main drivers of demand in different countries and in different economies? What are the choices of technology you would make and how would you motivate those? How would you deal with environmental concerns? As you build big hydro, that is a big issue. Coal is a big issue, nuclear is a big issue. How would you fund all of this? It needs massive amount of funding. Africa is too big to just have big stations and big grids. You need to find off-grid solutions.
We're in a situation now where there really is not any substantive, true open trading of power. If you've got a generator and you say you're going to sell it to another party, they're not buying your electrons. They're really buying a financial commitment and trade. Since you're not buying that electron, if there's a system shortage, you have no guarantee. Just because you paid for that power, you thought you had it, you thought you owned it, you don't. It's really just an arbitrage between the price that you can strike with that generator compared to the posted price, basically, that Eskom provides in their wheeling program. That's pretty much based on standard tariffs of a megaflex tariff, they call it. The only way that you can draw a sound commercial outcome out of that is to beat that price. Pretty unlikely you'll be able to do it. For all these derivatives, they typically take a transparent, open, independent price. Most derivatives are based on a price.
The impact on women, 621 million women out there are spending inordinate amount of time going around collecting wood to make fire. And therefore they cannot go to school, therefore they cannot get education, therefore the potential that they have, which we need to solve major problems in this world, is never kinetized. The single most important value that we're missing in our country today is integrity. Most of the projects in our continent, which were supposed to have been built, money was allocated, but instead of going into those projects, it goes into somebody else's pocket. You've got to have a heart. By that I mean you've got to have passion. You have to have passion in what you do. You just have to have self-discipline.
Use your talents and skills will take you to the top, but character will keep you there.
The real issue for Africa and the world is the dilemma of energy. It's energy security. How do we effectively manage the primary sources of energy? The environmental impact, demand side, decarbonating the industry, we want renewables now. We have energy equity, big one for Africa. Accessibility and affordability. An increase in the tariff from Eskom, going up quickly. Why? Because we left it over the years. We didn't increase the tariff to be cost reflective. Other one is politics. Election time, told, write off the debt. So the power utility is not going to be any financially viable in the short to medium term. If you don't have that cost reflective tariff, you're not going to attract private sector investment into the sector. Will renewable energy be the answer? It's an opportunity to look at alternative solutions for the continent. We don't all have to be connected to the grid.
If we are talking asset-intensive industries, it means we need that whole heap of capital at the beginning. And a big portion of it will come from lenders. You better know what credit rating agencies are, who they are, and what they do. What are the issues that a bank is going to look at? and prepare my case accordingly. A company that is rated BBB over the next 7 years, or over a 7-year period, has a 4.2% probability of default. Company that is CCC has more than 50% probability of default. If your asset utilization is good, your costs are world-class, efficient levels, everything is perfect, but your price is 30% below where it should be, you are going to be in huge trouble pretty soon. And that is what makes infrastructure investments risky. The mere fact that you are trying to make an estimate that I'll be recovering this money that I'm borrowing for over the next 50 years only, that statement alone implies massive risk. Go look at the Eskom balance sheet for March 2016. The total liabilities on the balance sheet is 480 billion.
Wow.
Now, if you have a debt service cover ratio of 1, it means that your revenue before you pay interest is just sufficient barely to pay the interest. Now, that's a bit of a thin margin for rating agencies. They don't like 1. So they would start looking at 1.52, 2.5 above and ratcheting up your rating like that. They show you that they want a ratio of 3 to 1 because they realize that they're using a number that's actually also meant to pay the debt principal. And they're now only comparing it to the interest. Now, to compensate for that, the minimum ratio for investment grade is 3 to 1. You should target the number that the rating agency says it should be to be investment grade. If you target a lower number, then you are not going to access capital or very expensive capital.
There is an African expression to the effect, until such time as lions have their own historians, all stories about hunting will extol the hunter. The lesson in there is the lions also have a view of themselves. Let's ask Africans themselves and let them talk about themselves.
What will it take to change the national discourse in South Africa that we're looking for in a leader and also in a country?
I think ultimately it will take you and me and many similar to us. Ultimately, you get the leadership you deserve. I mean, if you fold your arms and somebody is cast ashore by a wave of populism, not even popularity, and you follow, you ultimately have yourself to blame. And what one is asking for, where you and I who are enlightened and see things somewhat differently, is to enter the fray and act as catalysts. Now, the crucible is there. People are there. And a good number of them are actually hungry for leadership.
You know, this has been a long journey that we've been on, and walking in now at the end here and watching the energy of the group, it's quite fitting that we're doing an energy masterclass.